I had this company send me this welding machine about a month or two ago, and I looked at it, I'm like, this thing has got to be a joke, and kind of threw it over in the corner. And then I was needing to weld something, and I didn't feel like going and pulling my big welder out the back. I said, let me try that little thing out, and I used it, and this thing worked fantastic. And I've used it several times since then, and it's just so convenient. This thing is just ridiculously small. So let me kind of bring you in and let you look over this, and then we'll show you how well this thing works. Now, if you look, this thing is only a little over 6 inches tall. It's 5.5, 6 inches wide, and about a foot long. I mean, 13 inches. So it looks just ridiculously small, like there's no way this thing can work. Let's see how much this little machine weighs right here. So it's on the scale good. I mean, we are right at 10 pounds. This thing is just crazy, you know, light. All right, so it got your standard grounding clamp. And I mean, this has got copper wire hooked on both sides. It's stamped. It's not the highest quality, but it's also a lot better than some that I've seen. It comes obviously with your MIG. And then if you want to do stick welding, it comes with the whip for the stick welding. Now, it will also do TIG welding, but it does not come with the stuff for the TIG. It does have the hookup in the back for your gas line, and then it has extra tips, hose clamps, and it's got an extra wheel here for changing out the different size wires. It comes with about a 5-foot power cord. The power cord is a 220 50 amp. However, it also comes with this little adapter, so you can plug this into your 50 amp 220, or if all you have is 110, you just plug it in here, and now it's going to run on 110. There's nothing else to change in the machine. It automatically detects it and changes it over. Now, your whip here is about 6 foot long for the MIG, and your grounding strap is also about 6 foot long. Now, it comes with 2 spools of wire. These are actually 0.5 kilogram spools, which are just a little over a pound. Now, this is a 1 millimeter, and this is a 0.8 millimeter, which is about a 0.4, and then this is a 0.3. And the machine itself, the settings I'll show you, are set up for the standard sizes, but they did ship with the metric wire, and that means it'll basically run both of them, because I've ran this metric wire and I've ran standard wire on it and have had no issues whatsoever. All right, we're gonna go ahead and turn the power on, and then the machine's gonna go through a self-test. It's very quick. Then you've got your top switch over here, and this is what you push to select between MIG, stick welding, or your TIG welding. We're gonna do MIG, and now you can either use gas or gasless. I just, you know, it gives you a better weld, and with these small machines, it's so much easier just to use gas, the gasless wire. And then over here, you have this 2T and 4T, which is on all these new machines nowadays. And basically with a 2T is you pull the trigger, and as long as you're pulling the trigger, it's welding, and you let go, it stops. With the 4T, you pull the trigger and let it go, and it starts welding, and it'll continue to weld until you pull the trigger again and let it go, and then it stops. And then down here, you have your 0.03, 0.05, or 0.04 wire. So you set the size wire that you're going to use. All right, so once you get all 4 of your settings set to the way you want it set, you have one knob right here. And it's turned all the way down right here, and that's at 5 amps at 16 volts. As you turn this up, you see the amps go up and the voltage go up. So when you start to weld, if it, you know, is welding cold, you turn it up, and then it's going to get you a hotter burn. And if it's starting to burn through, getting too hot, you rotate it down, and it adjusts the voltage, but it also adjusts the speed of the wire. So in my experience, you know, once I get this here kind of dialed in, I mean, it takes 2 seconds, you know, to dial that in, and then it just welds. I mean, really, you don't have to have a lot of experience. You know, if you're going and it seems like it's like the wire is hitting the metal, it's going too fast, you just rotate it down. If it seems like the wire is melting away from the metal, then you just rotate it up a little bit and good to go. To set up the machine, we're just going to open it up right here. This just pushes in, turns, and then we're going to grab us a spool of wire here. I will go ahead and we're going to want that spool. It has the instructions right up here. You want to make sure it's coming off the bottom. We slide that on there. We put the little washer, and then this just pushes on and a little twist. All right, so we're good to go there. Let's go ahead and grab this little wire here. And then all we're going to do is feed the little wire in through here. Oop. Which I really didn't want to do that because you can easily get that wire twisted, but that happens. And then it's going to go right inside. And this is the only little kind of tricky part, if you got big fingers like me, is getting that little wire to go inside there. Once you do, you push it down, push that up, and now we got a little button right here. And that little button is going to spin the wire through, and then you just let it go through until it comes out our tip right here. Now, I'm more of a woodworker than I am a metal worker. I did take metal trades back in school, so I have welded a little bit, but I don't weld every month or, but whenever I'm building a table or something, sometimes I need some brackets in there, around the shop or just around the house here. The other day I needed to re-weld up the deck on the lawnmower, and, I was just amazed at this little machine because it's so small. I didn't think it was going to be able to put out enough heat, but on 110, this thing is able to go up to 125 amps. And now I had the machine set just over 70 amps here welding this angle iron, which is like 1.5 inch angle iron. And it was really, I should have probably cut the power back a little bit because it was, going a little hot there. And you see, I just rotated it back to 60 amps. So I'm actually finished out this weld at 60 amps, and it was definitely hot enough to burn and get a good penetration all the way through this angle iron. Now, don't blame the machine if the bead's a little crooked. That's just me. My old eyes, I probably need to get a little bit better of a welding helmet there. But you don't always need a lot of heat. Back in the day, we used to build deer stands. We built tons of them, and we used a lot of this electrical conduit. And electrical conduit, you can get dirt cheap, and it is extremely strong if you get it welded in good. Now, one of the things I find is you don't want any holes. You want to make sure it gets welded in good because it will rust up very easy on you if you let water sit up inside of it. And the machine goes down to 50 amps, which probably would have been better had I been able to bring it down just a little bit. But, you just got to kind of finesse it as you see the metal getting all red and heating up around. Sometimes you just have to stop for 2-3 seconds and just let that metal temperature come down just enough, and that way you don't blow holes through it. But even if you do blow holes through it, you can sit here and just kind of tap it with the machine and let you fill in those holes. And you see I take a hammer here and, just to make sure that I've got good penetration, because it's very easy to get your bead on one of the pieces of metal whenever you're working with this, especially on the butt joint. The reason I did the butt joint is because that's the easiest one to blow through. And I'm sitting here with this hammer beating on it until it bent the pipe, which means that the weld is stronger than the pipe. In case you missed it, I just converted this machine to 220. All you do is you pop that little adapter off the end of it and plug it into the 220 outlet, flip the power on, and then the machine will go in there and it'll say on the display where it detects the 220, and it readjust everything inside the machine. So I go ahead and I want to crank this thing up. You see that's to 145 amps. This thing will go all the way up to 145 amps on 220. And this is some 3/8 inch thick material here. It's a 2-inch square tubing that's got 3/8 inch thick walls. And I figured, most people in their little home shops, 3/8 inch thick is a pretty thick piece of metal. So, I sit here and I'm running this bead, and it is definitely penetrating adequately. This thing, it's just, I was blown away that a machine that will basically fit in the palm of your hand can weld this 3/8 inch thick metal with no issues whatsoever. And even somebody like me who doesn't weld that often can pick up this little machine and actually put in some pretty decent looking beads. It's just icing on the cake. And what's so great about it is, in the old days, you had all these different, you had to adjust the temperature and the speed separately. And by it being all right there in the one knob, it just makes it so simple. And now you see there's a couple little holes in this piece of metal. Sometimes I need to fill in a bolt hole or something that I drilled in the wrong spot. And, that can be a challenge. And this thing here, you see, I just in like 2 seconds, just did a little circle right around it. And those bolt holes were filled in all the way. And I checked on the back. It was melted all the way on both sides. I could have took a grinder and just ground that down flat. So I just went on Amazon and checked, and this thing's got a $20 coupon going on right now, so it brings it down to like $150. And then that is for the model that I tested here, at 145 amp. If you don't have a 50 amp 220 outlet, they do have a 135 amp 110 only option there, I noticed. And with the coupon, it's $109. So now you're able to get a very capable welding machine for $100. And if you needed one little piece welded, make up some little simple bracket for a custom piece of furniture or something, you're going to spend more than that. If you was to go by a machine shop or have to replace a part. I mean, the deck on my lawnmower, they wanted almost $1,000 for this deck. And I was able to take this little machine here and weld back on the piece that had broke off. And I mean, $150 for the machine, one repair is going to pay for itself. So if you're a homeowner, you're just a handyman around the house that likes to take care of your own stuff, this thing is definitely a no-brainer. So go ahead and check out the links in the description, and I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you on the next one.